This is the second video for 7.4, although it's the first one today. We're going to go on from finding determinants to using determinants. So this is another way to solve a system of equations. So in the chapter on matrices, using matrices, we have three different ways. This is called Cramer's rule. So we're going to use determinants. Okay? So the first determinant, I'm going to call it D, is going to be the determinant of the coefficient matrix. So 2, 0, 1 on the top, 1, 2, negative 1, and 3, 5, 2 on that bottom row. Okay, so we're going to find the determinant. I noticed that across the top I have a 0, so that would be a good one to do. I'm just going to expand across the top. So the first one is this negative 2, and I'll cross off the row and the column that it's in. And so I have negative 2, and it's in a positive spot, right, an adding spot. And then we have 2, negative 1, 5, 2. And then I have, this would be subtract, but it's going to be 0. And it doesn't really matter what the determinant is, what the 2 by 2 determinant is, because it's going to be multiplied by 0. So it can't be anything other than 0. And then you have plus 1. So we'll use the 1 and cross off the row and column that's with the 1. And we have left 1, 2, 3, 5. Alright, so I've got negative 2 times 4 minus negative 5 plus, we have 5 minus 6. So we've got 9 times 2, I got negative 18. And plus negative 1. So that's going to be negative 19. Okay, so that's D, negative 19. Now, we're going to use that in the final answer, but first we need to find the specific determinants for x, y, and z. So the way we do that is we're going to look at use the same determinant that we started with for D, but when we're solving for x, instead of the x column, we're going to replace that with the answer column, and the answer column would be our answers, right? 2, 9, 22. Okay, so we're going to call this D sub x, because this is for the x answer, and it's going to be the determinant. Now, instead of all the numbers that would be in the x column, I'm going to put the answer column. And then the rest of them are the same as they were in D. Okay, now I'm going to find the determinant. I still have 0 on the top row, so 0 will probably be a good idea. Now it's going to be a positive 2, and it'll be 2, negative 1, 5, 2, minus 0, plus 1, and this determinant would be 9, 2, 22, 5. Okay, so that will be 2 times, that was a positive 2, 4 minus negative 5, and plus, in this one, we've got 9 times 5, which is 45, minus 44, 2 times 22. Alright, so 9 times 2 is 18. and plus 1 equals 19. Okay. Now, our answer then, x, is going to be equal to d sub x over d. Well, d sub x is 19, d is negative 19, so x is equal to negative 1. Okay? So I found x. X is equal to negative 1. Okay, so we're going to use that same process. We're still going to use the same d every time. Okay? But we're going to find now we're going to find d sub y. And basically, here's what we know, that the x, when we're solving for x, that's equal to d sub x over d. Y is equal to d sub y over d. And z is equal to d sub z over d. And this would be true even if we had more variables. If we had 4 variables, so we had a w, we'd have d sub w over d. And each time, we're going to have the d is the same on every denominator, right? It's only the top one that changes. So let's come back up here for a second and find y. I'm going to erase this so that we can have more room here. And in fact, I think I'm going to erase this work and just have our answer that it's negative 19. Okay. All right, so now y, well, let's do d sub y. It'll be easier to write it. D sub y now is going to be, well, I should have left the answers. The answers are going to go in to the y column. Okay, everything else in D will stay the same. So I'll still have negative 2, 1, 3 down the first column. Then I'm going to have the answer column, which is 2, 9, 22, and then the last one, same as in D. Okay? Now, I don't have a 0 anymore, so we could really expand around whatever we wanted. So just to be different and practice doing it in a different way, let's expand around the middle row, right? So that means this one was a plus, this one would be start as a minus. Okay? All right, so that means that I have a negative. I'm subtracting 1 times its 1 times the cross off the row and the column with the 1, and I would be left with 2, 1, 22, 2. Okay, then I would add, since the first one was a subtract, the next one is an add, and it's the 9, and we would cross off the row and column with a 9 in it, and then what's left would be negative 2, 1, 3, 2. And finally I have subtract a negative 1. So that really means I'd be adding, right? So I'm going to cross off the row and column with the negative 1 and be left with negative 2, 2, 3, 22. All right, so I'm going to have negative, whatever this is. So 2 times 2 is 4 minus 22 plus 9 times negative 4 minus 3 plus 1 times negative 44 minus 6. Okay, so that's going to be Negative, well, negative 18, but it's positive, so that's going to be positive 18. So a negative, negative. Plus, now this is going to be negative 7 times 9 will be negative 63. And plus negative 50. So really subtract 50. Okay, so that's going to be, let's subtract 18 from 63. That'll be a negative 45. And a negative 50, so that's going to be negative 95. Alright, so x, or y, that is equal to negative 95 over negative 19. And does 19 go into 95? Well, yes, because it gives you 5 times, right? That'd be 19 times 5, so this is going to be a 5. So y is equal to 5. I'm going to write that right up here, y equals 5. And we still have to do one more, d sub y. I'm going to erase this so that we can be able to fit everything in here. Okay, so now we need to find z, and I'm going to take the z column from D and replace it with the z, place it with the answer column. So this will be d sub z, and it'll be the determinant of the first two columns are the same, but the last one will be the answer column. So let's expand around the top one now, because it's got that 0 in it again. So I have negative 2, and when I cross off the row and column, I have 2, 9, 5, 22. And then I would have minus 0, and then plus 2, and I'll cross off the row and column that has the 2 in it, and have 1, 2, 3, 5. So we've got negative 2, and 2 times 22 is 44 minus 45, plus 2 times 5 minus 6. Alright, so 44 minus 45 is negative 1. So that makes this a positive 2 plus negative 2, which is 0. Alright, so z is equal to 0. And there's my answer. Okay? If you plug this into up here in our original equations, you see that you get negative 2 times negative 1 would be positive 2, and z is 0, that would gives me 2, and then it works for all of them here. Okay, so this is called Cramer's rule, and yeah, you have to take determinants, but when you have those determinants, the answer turns out really nice. And one of the best times to use this is when your answers are turned out to be nasty fractions, because determinants don't turn out to be fractions. We're going to have a top and a bottom, right? And so we could get a really nasty fraction without doing a whole lot of work. All right, here's your quiz questions. There's 2 of them for this one. I want you to find d and d sub x. So that's not all the way to finding what x is, but if you took d sub x over d, that would be our answer for x, right? But I just want you to enter in d and enter in d sub x.